How is everyone today? It's a wonderful Friday, beautiful day. Today, we want to talk about gut health and why it is so important to overall health. And this is what is an important message that we want to get across because it is helping people really get to the root cause of many of their conditions. Conditions such as feeling bloated, constipated, having cramping after eating. Now, what happens is on many standardized stool tests, they are cultures, and these stool cultures are not as accurate as the more advanced stool tests, which are DNA PCR stool tests, because what we want to see now is is there an overgrowth of the opportunistic bacteria that are always there in small amounts. They're controlled and they have a purpose. But when they're overgrown, they become inflammatory. And we have a term for this in research known as lipopolysaccharides. These are the die off of this overgrowth of bacteria. Again, these are neutral type of bacteria, what we call opportunistic. Even we call them commensurate, meaning they live symbiotically synergistically with our own good bacteria. But when they're overgrown and they die off, that is inflammatory, and it really causes this what they call leaky gut or intestinal permeability. So what's important to know is that most standardized stool testing is not testing for what needs to be looked at now is the overgrowth of these opportunistic bacteria that they can become overgrown due to a number of different reasons. Low hydrochloric acid, low acidity in the stomach, taking antacids, taking anti-inflammatory over-the-counter type of medications, NSAIDs they're called, ibuprofens or Aleve. They have different names, but they disturb the gut lining. Also, as I mentioned, different types of acid blocking medications can also disturb this gut bacteria and also affect the gut lining. We see in the research that medications like metformin can disturb the gut bacteria, artificial sweeteners such as sucralose or saccharin, aspartame, and even the sugar alcohols like xylitol can have an effect on the microbiome. So there are many things that we can do to affect this balance of this gut bacteria. But what's important is to have it measured, to know what's going on with an overgrowth of what's normally in our gut. Most standardized stool tests are looking for pathogens, for severe, like food poisoning type of pathogens, E. coli, Shigella, and that is important. But what they're not looking at is also very important. And that's why we use DNA PCR stool testing to look at these strains of bacteria that, when overgrown, become inflammatory. And in addition to that, we're looking at the good bacteria because quite often people are taking lactoacidophilus probiotics or bifidus probiotics. And when we do this DNA PCR, and it's quantitative, it means qPCR. There's a little q there, meaning quantitative. It's measured. And the measurement is very important because, again, we want to know, especially with the good bacteria, that there's a robust amount. It's there in sufficient and robust amounts, even more than just sufficient, because these are good bacteria that produce beneficial metabolites like butyrate, which these are known as short chain fatty acids. These bacteria, the good bacteria, produce these metabolites that help our bodies, helps heal the gut, helps send signals to our brain. Again, the gut brain connection, which are so important. And we know that in the gut there are neurotransmitters that are being produced in the gut. We also know our immune system is there's a big part of our immune system, the mucosa, that lining of our intestines, is a big part of our immune system. Some say about 70% of our immune system is in the gut. So this is why gut health is so important. But it's not just gut health; it's the most important fact of today's live is the type of gut health testing, because quite often gut testing, even the more advanced gut testing is only showing what your gut is like compared to the normal population. It's not individualizing your actual overgrowth and the actual types of species of bacteria. Again, some of them are more inflammatory. Some of the beneficial ones, they produce really important metabolites that heal the gut and help the brain and many other factors which are important. So we want to know the numbers and we want to know if it's accurate, and that's using DNA PCR technology, which many other stool tests don't use. They culture, which is fine, microbiology. They look under a microscope, they're looking for parasites, but they don't always find them. But when you use DNA PCR technology, you find them. And you find them in what number, in the quantity of number, because again, it's like a rainforest, our microbiome. Each one of these bacteria and yeast and fungi and parasites, they serve a purpose if they're controlled and in small amounts. But quite often they become overgrown. Even these parasites, and people are asymptomatic, or they have these skin rashes that are unaccounted for. There's unknown reasons. They're taking steroid creams for many, many years. And we find that they have these elevations of parasites that weren't found on a normal stool test over in parasites, because microbiology stool cultures are not as accurate as DNA PCR stool testing. And the ones that are on the market out there, that only show your comparison to the standard health of of a microbiome of a healthy population, is just really based on demographics that researchers have been showing what is a normal microbiome, and if this looks like generally a healthy microbiome, but it doesn't get into the specifics. It's not individualized, personalized medicine, which integrative medicine needs to be personalized. So those tests are not the accurate tests, and those are what is typically found in these tests that people can just order. And again, that is maybe using RNA sequencing, genomic sequencing. It's not DNA PCR quantifying PCR DNA, and that's the big difference. So that is important to know. And when it comes to food sensitivities, this is a big thing, that a big part of what's happening is people are doing this IgG food sensitivity testing, which doesn't let you know accurately if you're having a true inflammatory reaction to a food, because it is true that part of that IgG is going to be the body protecting itself. So we really want to know the different levels of IgG. It's broken down into four: IgG1, IgG2, and IgG3, IgG4. It happens to be the IgG4 is protective. So if you do a total IgG and you don't tease out these four components of IgG, then it will be a confusing test. So you want to make sure that the food inflammation test that you're doing is not a total IgG. So here at our integrative center, we have done integrative medicine for over 25 years. So we know the tests that work, that can be clinically applicable to each person, individualized, and we've done away with those food sensitivity testing that really gives too many false positives. You get a list of 20 foods sometimes, and yes, it didn't tease out again the IgG 1 through 4, and that's very, very important. So, and the stool testing we discussed is not as accurate. So this is really what you want to really make sure that you're not selling yourself short by doing not really clinically applicable or clinically giving you really direction and steps to take to heal your gut and to really make progress in your wellness journey. So this is what's so very important. If you really would like more information, please comment below or send a direct message. And if you're seeing it on a replay, let me know about that and share it if you find this to be helpful information. Again, you can reach out to us at South Florida Integrative Health Center. Our website is www.sfhc.org. SFIHC, that stands for South Florida Integrative Health Center.com. And you can call us at 305-799-1263. And if we're seeing patients, you leave a message and we will get back to you. But this is the type of testing we're doing. We're really approaching gut health. Very important. We've been really centered on that for a number of years, helping people because that really is a root cause, is improving gut health. If you have any questions, please reach out to us here at South Florida Integrative Health Center. Have a healthy and happy day.